Over the past 10 years, I have mixed hundreds of songs. And over these years, I have learned 5 things that just seem to be true every time I mix a song. And that's what I want to share with you in this video today. Number 1, the static mix is king. If you don't know what a static mix is, it's essentially all of your elements without plugins, without compression, without EQ. The only thing you do in this mix is adjust the panning and adjust the volume. That is it. You can throw things in buses if you want to as well, but during the static mix phase, you are not allowed to touch any plugin whatsoever. You should have a pretty decent sound just with the static mix alone. The reason we do this is because we want to make sure that we actually have everything we need and that everything sits where it's supposed to. That's layerings, that's guitars. You don't want to get halfway through a mix and realize you have to turn a lot of things down again because you just didn't leave enough headroom on your master bus. If you learn the art of a static mix, your mixes will get so much better, I promise you. And if you can't get a good sound with a static mix, you probably need a little bit of step 5. We'll get to that later in this video. Number 2, gain staging is the secret sauce. Everything revolves around gain staging. How much volume goes into your DAW is really how much headroom you have on the way out. If it's too quiet, you might get a little bit of a noise floor, but you really don't have to worry about that with modern day equipment. But if it's too loud, you just don't have enough headroom, and even worse, you could get clipping. And digital clipping just sounds awful. One thing I like to do is I like to shoot for around -18 to -9 dB of input gain. Another thing I like to do is pull up a virtual meter, which is essentially like an analog meter, but in a plugin form. And this is going to give you a really good idea of where you want to be at. You want to hit about unity in the analog version of this plugin, and that's going to hit you around -18 to -9 in the digital stage. It's just a really nice thing to look at if you want to be able to look at it. But if you shoot for -18 to -9, you're going to be just fine. In fact, most plugin manuals, if you ever read those, will tell you to shoot for this spot. Gain staging also happens on the master bus as well. When you are playing everything, especially in your static mix, you want to make sure you have plenty of headroom on your master bus. If not, grab all your tracks, turn everything down. Once a song is completely mixed, before it goes into the mastering stage, I really like about -6 dB of headroom at the loudest point of the song. This gives my mastering engineer or myself, if I'm mastering it myself, plenty of room to play with adding compression, EQ, limiting, clipping, and everything else that we do during the mastering phase. Trust me on this, it really, really works. Number 3, source sound is always better than processing. Now let me explain what I mean. If you can get a good sound at the source, you're just gonna have a way better result mixing. It's like the old saying, you can polish a turd, but it's still a turd. I like to take it a step farther and say that a really good steak doesn't need a lot of seasoning, but just adding a touch of seasoning will take it to the next level. It should be the same way with your tracks. Your tracks should sound really good at the source. If you're recording vocals or recording acoustic guitar, you should be somewhat happy with the way it sounds just with the microphone and the interface and going right into your computer. If it doesn't sound good, try adjusting your microphone. Try getting a better vocal performance. This also goes for sounds that are inside of your DAW as well. Get a good contact library and get good samples. There's a ton of good free samples and contact libraries out there, and there's also some really good paid ones as well if you don't mind shelling out a couple dollars. But getting good sounds at the source is just going to make your mixes way, way better. Now, if you were using a microphone to record stuff and you're struggling to get a good sound there, I have a free gift for you called the Ultimate Guide to Recording Vocals at Home. Just scroll down right now, click the top link in the description, and you can download that guide absolutely free. It is my gift to you for watching this video. It's just going to help you get a good sound at the source, and it teaches you everything you need to know about setting up a microphone, especially for vocals. So make sure you get that. The link will be in the description below. Number 4, mic choice matters a lot, but not in the way that you think it does. There are 2 basic types of microphones. You have a dynamic microphone, which is essentially what I have in front of me now, which is the SM58. You also have the SM57, the SM7B, tons of different dynamic microphones. And then you have condenser microphones, like the Slate ML1 or the Audio-Technica AT2020. All of those microphones are great microphones, by the way. And most of those microphones are under $100, and they sound fantastic. The reason why I say mic choice matters is because the type of mic that you choose makes a big difference. A condenser microphone is going to be significantly more sensitive. It's going to pick up a broader frequency spectrum. They're typically great on acoustic guitars and vocals and anything that you want a nice hi-fi sound on. Now the SM7B, the 58, the 57, those mics are great for vocals as well, but they're also great for like drums. The 57 is a classic snare drum mic. Now you don't need to spend an arm and a leg on microphones. You can get an CT2020 and a 57, and I think you have everything you need to actually get great sounding recordings at home. And both of those microphones are under $100. Now, if you can only choose one, I highly recommend you grabbing a condenser microphone just because it's just going to be a bit more versatile for you. But if you have a little bit of extra money to spend, getting a couple different mics just in the dynamic and condenser realm is going to help a lot. Don't freak out about the way a U87 sounds or a 251. It makes a difference, but not really that much. What makes the biggest difference is the type of microphone that you are using. And now number 5, layering. I cannot stress enough how important layering is to any song. Just like I said at the beginning of this video, if you are not getting a good static mix, it's probably because of layering. Do you have enough guitar layers? Do you have enough vocal layers? Is it sounding like a demo or is it sounding like a polished song? The difference between the two really comes down to layering. Do you have enough synth tracks or do you have too many synth tracks? Start to listen to your favorite songs and break down what's going on inside of those songs. Do you hear stuff in the left ear and in the right ear? Do you hear stuff floating around in the frequency spectrum that you may not have noticed before? Do you hear more than 3 or 4 guitars? What do the vocals sound like? Are they wide? Are they right up in your face? What do they sound like, and break it down? And try to emulate the songs that you listen to. You will eventually develop an ear for this and it will just become second nature. You just start throwing on tracks because you like the way it sounded when you first tried to make it. Now, writing songs can be difficult, but I think I found a way to make it a little bit easier. In fact, I asked AI to help me write a song. If you want to see that, just click on this video right here. In that video, I asked an AI to write me a song, not only the lyrics, but the chords as well, and I was actually surprised at the result. So click here, I'll see you over there, and now as always, go create.